Hello and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics. I got a big box in here from Cheap Graphic Novels and I want to unbox it and show you off what I got. Stay tuned. And welcome back. So yes, I got a box in from Cheap Graphic Novels.com. Great place to buy your comics and graphic novels. Highly recommend it. They always package your books nice and safe, and they have great customer service as well. I actually, geez, what the heck? I always praise them too because they're very transparent about what books they have in stock currently and what books are not. It'll say like special order only if they're not in stock currently, which is great because then you know it's going to take a little bit longer to get that book in because they have to order that book from the distributor and then get it to you. So I'm actually going to set this box aside for a second. You can see the interior there, very packaged in there. None of the books are moving around. Oh, it's actually, I got boxes within boxes here, so it's even more convenient for the purposes of this video. The cool thing about unboxing videos, which I always appreciate and love watching with other comics YouTubers. Where's my other there? But this one in particular is, you're going to see a little bit of preview of some future content on this channel because the vast majority of these are going to have videos coming up in the future. And just in case, comment down below with your thoughts on any of these books. And if, in particular, if you want me to show off any of them on a future video, if you want to see a deeper dive. But today I'm just going to do a little overview of them to show you what they look like. All right. Box one. And yeah, comment down below and give the video a thumbs up. All that sort of engagement helps YouTube algorithm know that you enjoy this content and that they should put it in front of the eyes of other people that might also enjoy this content. Let me zoom in here. So first we have an Epic collection, which I think is the only Marvel Epic collection in this haul. This is Daredevil, Man Without Fear, The Concrete Jungle. This is volume 7 of the Daredevil Epic Collections. On my channel, I have overviews of the first 2 omnibus volumes of Daredevil, and I'm working my way through the third one, so that'll be coming shortly as well. And then from then on, I'm collecting the Epic Collections to all the way through the modern era, actually. I have the modern era Epic Collections to go through. So Daredevil is a character that I'm anticipating being able to read through the entire history of the character. There's a good Daredevil Namor fight, reminiscent of the Wally Wood issue from back in the day. Black Panther. Black Panther and Daredevil have crossovers throughout history as well, which is always fun. This is like the Marv Wolfman era. Who else is credited on this thing? Jim Shooter, Mackenzie Brown, Kane, and Infantino. Oh, Carmine Infantino has some art in here? Interesting. I know Carmine Infantino had a small stint in Marvel. I didn't realize he did some Daredevil issues. So that's exciting. But this collects Daredevil's issues 133 through 154, Annual number 4, Ghost Rider 20, Marvel Premiere 39, 40, and 43, and then material from Ghost Rider 19. So that's the first book on the haul. It's the Daredevil Epic Collection, Volume 7. Up next, we have The Bitter End and Other Stories. It's one of the EC Comics libraries, artist library books. These are, I've showed these off on my channel quite a bit. These are Fantagraphics, the way that Fantagraphics is collecting EC Comics. And I have, this haul actually gives me all of them up to date now. So I can actually take my big picture of all of them together. It's something I always like to do. And they have a Jack Davis one coming out soon as well. So this is The Bitter End. These are stories that are illustrated by Crandall. Here's the spine. I always love these spines, the spine design. These were actually designed by Jacob Covey back when he was still with Fantagraphics. And it's one of my favorite lines of comics. Amazing image there by Crandall. But these are hardcovers, and they collect all of each volume will collect a bunch of stories from one artist, typically in one genre. They might mix a little bit here and there of the genre, and it's all in black and white. So these are all written or drawn by Crandall, but you have written by Otto Binder, Jenny Craig, Al Feldstein, Jack Olick, and Carl Wessler. And there are some additional stories written by George Russos. So they will pack in a little bit of stories drawn by someone else, maybe that won't have their own volume eventually, because I think the idea is to eventually have all of the new trend EC Comics stories collected. So this introduction is written by John Gothold. I think that's how that's pronounced. Quote by George Evans there. These introductions are great too, especially because EC Comics had such a rich history behind the scenes, and also a rich history in fandom. So it's really great to have these introductions and things to learn about the back history of these stories as well. So here's just flipping through some of the artwork. I haven't tried out EC Comics though. You have to. Like, you definitely have to try it. I do have I have a whole playlist of EC Comics on my channel if you go to the playlist tab, so you can get a little bit of recommendations on where to start and kinds of things, and a little bit of a introduction into what makes EC Comics so great. And then in the back here, they usually do a kind of an essay here. This one's written by S.C. Ringenberg, and it's kind of a essay about some more of these stories. And then there's another one by Ted White, The Ups and Downs of EC Comics. So you get a lot of cool history involved as well. So that one is The Bitter End. And then the other EC book that I got was Kamen's Kalamity. These are by Jack Kamen. And this actually is the first of this line to have the artist's name in the title of the book, which is kind of funny, because they're all named after a story within the book as well. So there is a story called Kamen's Calamity. And there's a spine, and then there's the back. But yeah, these spines all look great together once you get them on the shelf. I'll post on my Instagram the picture of all of them together here in the next few days. But it's such a cool book design and cool line to collect. Whenever I post a picture, it's always gets some good feedback on people and how cool they look. So you have additional inking by Will Elder, but all is illustrated by Jack Kamen, or the majority of it, because there are additional stories illustrated by John Alton, Frank Bull, Bill Fraccio, Rudy Peleus, and Leonard Starr. So it's good that they pack those in there, because they really are trying to collect everything. And the introduction for this one is by Tommy Burns. And Tommy Burns is the gentleman that runs the EC Fan Addict Facebook page, which is one of my favorite Facebook groups to be a part of. You should go join it if you haven't already and you're a fan of EC Comics. But Tommy Burns, he writes a lot of the introductions to these books, which is really fun. It's always cool when he posts that he's working on a new introduction for one of these new volumes. But apropos of the upcoming holiday season, or Halloween season, these are both of the horror genre. So they collect a lot of the stuff from Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror and those kinds of anthologies that EC Comics would run. So I'll be looking forward to reading these soon in the Halloween season. Then up next, I have H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, Deluxe Edition by Go Tanabe. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. Go Tanabe has been adapted a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stories into manga, and over the last few years, Dark Horse has been reprinting them. When they first reprinted them, they reprinted them in a really small tankobon size. I feel like they're even smaller than your average tankobon. And his artwork is so heavily detailed that I've been waiting for a deluxe edition. And then they finally announced one. I was kind of surprised. I didn't think, of all the manga they could put in deluxe editions, this was one I didn't think would happen, but I was hoping would happen. And the volume just looks beautiful. There's the spine there. Oh, the back has like a leaflet on it, which I'll probably fold and keep in there. Just because I usually keep those things. It also comes with a ribbon, I see. So, and the pages are gilded. Look at that. Look how fancy that looks. They really went all out with all the bells and whistles for this. Great end papers. If you're not familiar with the At the Mountains of Madness story, oh, the end papers are different on both sides. That's great. I always love when they do that. Just a little bit of more thoughtfulness put into the collection. But it's about a kind of an excavation crew going to Antarctica. Quote by Edgar Allan Poe, one of H.P. Lovecraft was a huge fan of Poe, so that's apropos, pun intended. Zach Davison, he frequently translates a lot of manga for us English readers. So the original story is written in 1931. It was first published in 1936. But then this manga is more recent than that. But his artwork is just super highly detailed. Almost kind of reminiscent of like a EC Comics illustrative style. More so than your typical manga. Yeah, definitely see a lot more. You see the pages are. You can hear pages cracking and sticking a little bit. I think it's because the gilded edges to them. But I don't think that's gonna hurt the reading experience at all. I think it's just you need to flip through it a little bit, loosen them up. No big deal. But yeah, if you're into horror comics oh, that's a great image. Horror comics at all, you're going to want to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. I have big plans for October when it comes to horror comics, which influenced a lot of this haul. So definitely subscribe. And subscribe if you haven't already anyways, even if you're not into horror comics. I'd really appreciate that. And like I said, comment down below with your thoughts. I always reply to comments. Give the video a thumbs up. Those things all help the YouTube algorithm to where they see people watching it and commenting on it and that sort of thing, so they can know to recommend it to other YouTubers on the main pages and whatnot. All right, so this is all the bigger books I got. So this is one I've been waiting for all year. Another one of my most anticipated of the year, KAIJUMAX, Volume 3. I can't wait to show this off on my channel, along with the other 2 volumes. This concludes the series. So KAIJUMAX is basically, if you're familiar with the show, HBO's show Oz from back in the day, like the early aughts, I think that show came out. Think of that show, but think of it with kaiju monsters. And then you get KAIJUMAX. Let me move my camera up a little bit so you get the full image of the book here. Because this is kaiju size, this book is, this hardcover. So here's the spine, KAIJUMAX in big letters, Volume 3. And then here's the back cover. One of the best comics of the decade. Yeah, so. And then I love the edge of the book is like monster's teeth. Like, ah. There's really, you want to talk about thoughtfulness with the book design. These books have been beautifully designed. Even like the song notes around here, I believe, are the music notes of one of the themes of Godzilla. So there's a lot of cool Easter eggs all throughout this. Book design in the comic in general. KAIJUMAX. The Orange Mile and For All Mankind. So yeah, this is the KAIJUMAX theme composed, but I didn't know there was a theme. Maybe that's what that music is then. Maybe there's a KAIJUMAX theme by Jen Cannon. I'm going to have to check that out. Edited by Zach Soto. And I've not read this one though, so I'm going to flip through this trepidatiously to try not to spoil much for my own self. But like I said, this concludes the series. There's 3 volumes of these kaiju-sized books by Oni Press. Zander Cannon is the cartoonist that writes and draws it, does all the work in here, and also writes these annotations, which are like one of the most fun parts. These are not included in any sort of trade paperback or single issues of these. You only get these annotations if you get the hardcovers, and they're great because they give you like behind the scenes process of making it, but also he talks about all the little Easter eggs in here because Zander Cannon, huge kaiju monster movie fan, and he is like a kaiju movie expert at this point. So all the little Easter eggs he has in panels and stuff, he'll make reference to, or if it references a really obscure movie or anything, he'll put annotations in there. So as far as the reading experience goes, it can be jarring if you read a page and then read the annotation and then go to the next page and read the annotation as far as the reading experience. So what I typically do is like I'll read the whole issue and then I'll go back and read all the annotations and then move on to the next issue. Obviously you can do whatever you want, but that's typically how I go about it. And I was sad to see this series end, but I am excited to have it all complete on my shelf now. And so the artwork, I do also want to warn people. There's the cool ribbon that it comes with. So you never lose your place when you're reading it. The artwork does look very cartoony, maybe kid-friendly a little bit, but this is not a kid-friendly story. This is very much an adult comic. You don't want to pass this down to your kids. A lot of the subject matter and stuff, it can be for adults. There's a lot of social, political commentary when it comes to race relations or relations with people from other backgrounds. Different violent acts of crime are talked about and how that affects people with trauma and that kinds of things. So that's what I love about the series. It's a lot deeper than it looks. It's kind of subversive in that way. I'm trying to see if there's some cool back matter back here. Oh yeah, there's like a Who's Who appendix, commentary appendix. Oh, there's continuations of some of the, maybe you didn't have room for some of the annotations. Then there's like an appendix of all the different characters you'll meet, because they are original characters. They're just inspired by kaiju movies. Here's an interview with Zander Cannon looks back at KAIJUMAX. So that's really cool. You get a little interview with Zander Cannon. Here's some reviews. Oh, movie reviews. Yeah, I forgot these were right back here too. So this is Zander Cannon reviewing a bunch of different kaiju-related movies that will come into reference here as well. So that's fun too, because if you're not a kaiju movie expert, you can have some recommendations here based on what he says. Here's the cover gallery. So these are all the single issue covers, which you can see were wraparound covers. It's really cool to collect them here in 2-page spreads to get them all in their full glory. Zander Cannon. Yeah. So really great series. I was kind of sad to see it end, but like I said, I'm happy to have it all on my shelf. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Zander Cannon comes up with next in his efforts as a cartoonist, because he worked on Top 10 with Alan Moore, which is one of my favorite series, and then also I'm a fan of KAIJUMAX. So, oh, look at this! I did not realize this was gonna. Okay, I didn't realize I was gonna get a signed book plate with this one. That's awesome. So this one is exciting too. So Department of Truth is one of my favorite image series of recent years. It's a series by James Tynion IV and Martin Simmonds on artwork. And Martin Simmonds has like a Bill Sienkiewicz type inspired art style. And Bill Sienkiewicz is one of my absolute favorite artists in comics history. And Martin Simmonds does a great job of with his own art inspired by it. Oh, it's like double wrapped. Yeah, I didn't realize this was going to have a book plate in it. And signed by both James Tynion and Martin Simmonds. That's really cool. I had no idea that cheap graphic novels had that. I don't think it was advertised that way. So, awesome. So Skybound in Image Comics, Skybound's Robert Kirkman's imprint with Image, now has a Universal Monsters license. Move my camera down, get a better view. Oh, sorry. So I've been looking forward to reading. This one is the first one that came out because it has James Tynion and Martin Simmonds. I don't know if I'm going to move on to the other ones as well. I think they did a Creature from the Black Lagoon was the next one they came out with, and then maybe they're doing Frankenstein next. This book looks really cool, the way it's designed. A bunch of blurbs here by Robert Kirkman, Patton Oswalt, Jock, Riley Rosmo, Kyle Starks. Yeah. So they took a break from Department of Truth to do this series. Russ Wooten on lettering, I should say, too. So I'm excited to read this. And like I said, I have big plans for Spooktober. But Dracula comics, I've read the Mike Mignola series from back in the day, where he did the comics adaptation of the movie, Francis Ford Coppola's movie. I'm trying to think of other Dracula comics I've read. Tomb of Dracula is what I want to read. I'm hoping that Marvel reprints those. But yeah, Martin Simmonds, you can see his Bill Sienkiewicz. Oh, there's even like collage elements, mixed media there. Yeah, this is going to be great. I can't wait to sit down with this one. And I heard a lot of people talking about this one. And I don't know why. Martin Simmonds is awesome. James Tynion IV is obviously a superstar in comics right now. Here's some covers in the back. This book design is really cool. Just a nice little handy volume. Collects 4 issues. And then it came with a book plate, signed by both James Tynion and Martin Simmonds, which is super awesome. So stoked for that. I have 2 more books to show off. The next one is Frankenstein. This is my first magnetic press book. Shout out to OmniBuddy. OmniBuddy has his own YouTube channel, and he's does a lot of marketing, social media stuff for magnetic press, but also, I think even before that, he was just a big fan of magnetic press comics. So look at his YouTube channel for more coverage on that. One of the signature parts of magnetic press is they have the rounded edges on their hardcovers, which is always cool. I love when publishers have like their own little signature things you can look out for. But this is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, adapted by George Bess. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. George Bess. But he worked on a lot of stuff with Alejandro Jodorowsky, which I am a huge fan of Jodorowsky's. And I have a bunch of videos on my channel showing off his work, including some stuff with George Bess. So I know that these came out. They just kickstarted a recent slipcase that has George Bess's adaptation to Frankenstein, Dracula, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. As of now, as of the recording of this video, the only ones that have been hit the shelves have been Frankenstein and Dracula. Cheap graphic novels didn't have Dracula in stock at the time, so I'm going to have to hunt that down later. But they did have this one, and I wanted to try it out. So you can see the hardcover is rounded on the edges, but the paper is not. It's square. But the hardcover is big enough that it doesn't, stick out, I guess. But again, really beautiful book design. I should have pointed out. You can see like the foil around the cover there, and on the spine as well, where it says Frankenstein. It's a really, really great, beautiful book. You can tell Magnetic Press puts a lot of thought into how they design these books. And it's a company I've always wanted to try out their books. I just haven't got around to it, and now I had an excuse because I wanted to try out more of Bess's work, as well as have stuff in the can and ready to go for Spooktober. Yeah, his artwork is absolutely brilliant. It reminds me of a lot of like Alberto Brescia, who did like Mort Cinder and Prasmus, I think it's called. Oh wow. But also, like, you think like the high point of Frankenstein, you think of Frankenstein art, you think of like Bernie Wrightson, right? And you can tell there's a lot of Bernie Wrightson channeled in here as well. I wouldn't be shocked if Bess was looking at Bernie Wrightson's work for inspiration. I love that this is like a cover to the chapter, and it's the experiment, and then the experiment itself has like a penciled sketch instead of fully inked design there. Yeah, but it's supposed to be a faithful adaptation to the Mary Shelley Frankenstein, which is a little bit different than the Universal Monsters Frankenstein. So I'm excited to see how this is adapted and compare it. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this will be a future overview if you want more of a deep dive into Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And then last but not least, I have, if I can get it out of the box, Transmetropolitan, Absolute Transmetropolitan Volume 2. So we, as fans that have been waiting for these editions, we really didn't know if Transmetropolitan Volume 3 was going to be reprinted, because it seemed like forever since they announced it. They reprinted Volume 1, reprinted Volume 2, and announced a reprint for Volume 1 again. So as fans that were waiting for these, we weren't quite sure, but they finally did announce it. So I chose that opportunity to, there's a leaflet here. Took that opportunity to finally dive in and get it before it went out of print, because typically when those things are announced, people will finally jump on the bandwagon like I did and go and buy these things, and then it's hard to find the Volume 2 before Volume 3 comes out, kind of thing. This is a thick, thick tome, though, of a book. Transmetropolitan Volume 2, and this collects, does it say on here which issues? Might have to open the book to see. Yeah, or it might say it right here, actually, on the leaflet. Yeah, issues 19 through 39 of the original series, and the one-shot Filth of the City, and it features a new introduction from Robertson, as well as a host of historic extras. When it says new introduction, I'm assuming of the original printing. I doubt he did a brand new original. Yeah, this is amazing. So, Transmetropolitan, I guess I should move my camera up a little bit more too. Make sure you get the full scope here. There we go. It's a great series. It came out in Vertigo Comics, written by Warren Ellis, art by Darick Robertson and Rodney Ramos in this volume. And absolutely incredible. So a couple years ago, whenever we go on vacation as a family, I usually load up a long series onto my iPad, and then I'll the introduction was written in 2015, so probably when the first printing of this book came out. But I'll load up a long series on my iPad that I've never read before, and then read through it on vacation whenever we have a chance, like downtime or traveling, the actual traveling part of it. And a couple years ago, I loaded this on there because I've always wanted to read Transmetropolitan, and I absolutely loved it. Usually when I do these digital reading things on a trip, it's usually a series that I'm like, do I want to own that physically? Do I need to own it physically? And I want to try it out. And then at the end of the vacation, I have a verdict where I'm like, yeah, I need to own that. So that's the verdict I came to at the end of Transmetropolitan, reading it on that vacation. Was like, yeah, I need to own that, and I need to own it in the best format, because I knew I'd like Warren Ellis's writing. I don't think I've ever read a comic from him that I've not enjoyed, and but Darick Robertson's artwork is what I fell in love with on that trip. I just absolutely was blown away by all the little detail and the chicken fat, the Will Elder-esque chicken fat that he has in the backgrounds of things, and the different layouts he uses, and creative choices he makes. The character designs themselves all stand out. Darick Robertson did an amazing job with the character designs of things, of the characters. Even just like the world building too, of like the different spots that they go to throughout the story. Just amazing work by Darick Robertson. So I needed to own this in the best format, and I'm glad that they finally reprinted this. So now I can get Volume 3 when it comes out and have the whole entire series. But if you don't know, Transmetropolitan is kind of like a dystopian future story where Spider Jerusalem is your main character, and he's this gonzo-type journalist, where he's trying to expose all the filth and evil and corruption within the world. And hijinks and crazy things happen throughout. And I really like the, it's really a intelligently written series as well, you know, which you can expect from a Warren Ellis. There are no, it's not like he's just fighting on the side of the left and the right, you know, the typical right-wing conservative views are what's the victim within the story. He really is hitting it all on all cylinders. All points are left, right, center. They're all exposed and spotlighted for the flaws within their own viewpoints. So it's really, really intelligently written. But it also, like, that's not the main. Like, it's not just this those kinds of things. Like, there actually is a really, really, really great written story throughout all of that. So these are, I guess, pinups drawn by different artists, which they had a guide to beforehand, which is nice. Where was it? Where did it start? Filth of the City. Okay, so this is all these different art by all these different artists right here. And like a little, looks like little excerpts of articles that he wrote on the artwork, which is a really cool way to do pinups, especially for a story about a journalist. And then here's some process art from Darick Robertson with some scripts, which is really cool. You get to see some of Darick Robertson's pencils and thumbnails, maybe. So yeah, really great collection here. DC did a great job with these. And it does say, where is it? Oh, it's right here. It says DC Black Label instead of Vertigo. But it says Vertigo on the inside on the covers. Vertigo's now dead in print, I guess, unfortunately. But I have a feeling it'll be back one day. I feel like we haven't seen the last of Vertigo. But that's my haul. I got Transmetropolitan, Frankenstein, Dracula, KAIJUMAX, H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountain of Madness, 2 EC books, Kamen's Calamity, Bitter End, and Daredevil Epic Collection, Concrete Jungle. So yes, please subscribe to the channel. You're not going to want to miss out on the Spooktober coverage that I do close to next month. I guess we're not quite in September yet. In October, though, those will be coming. And comment down below with your thoughts on any of these books or questions you have, or which of these books you want me to show off on future videos. And give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, all that stuff. And keep reading comics.